After completing about 1,300 pages of the classic novel The Count of Monte Cristo, I think most of the readers would have a similar kind of question. Was Edmond Dante's right in his action to seek revenge against his wrongdoers, and even assured in his mind to get God's approval of? Or should he lead a respected royal life, given the consequence he faced later for his ways? Before we move on, there are complete spoilers ahead, so if you don't want to lose excitement, I would suggest to go through novel before coming here. Let's start. The novel starts with a merchant ship coming from a voyage. The captain died in due course due to illness, so the talk was around that the most deserving crew Edmond Dante's would take charge from the next consignment. This made his co-crew member Danglars envious. He plotted a foul play against him alongside Fernand, who was in love with Dante's fiancée Mercedes before his return, which shook him to the core and wanted to get rid of him. They were accompanied by one Caterhouse, who was Dante's neighbor. A cunning man once gave Edmond's father loan. Dantes was sent to jail for being a Bonapartist opposed to the France's then monarch, as per the letter Dantes received during his journey from Elba, which was manipulated by Danglars and the prosecutor. He would spend the next 14 years in prison. While in prison, he was going through mental tormentation beyond endurance, to a point where he thought of taking his own life but refrained when he met his father figure and mentor in Abbé Faria. With his help, he discovered the foul play made against him and made up his mind for a payback. So he escaped and found a fortune, which he believed to have God's approval to carry out his plan. Over the next 10 years he made his plan to lay out. Meanwhile, life goes on for others.
Not good for Edmond S. Well wisher.
His father died and fiancée married to his enemy. His ship owner was financially suffering to the point of death, whom later been saved and rewarded secretly. On the other hand, Dante's enemy climbed the top of the ladder through guile methods and raise in reputation. Dante's, on the other hand, succeeded to set up his plot. One by one, when his cards unfolded, down goes his enemy's reputation. Be it Crown Prosecutor Villefort or Fernand or Danglars. But his mission spiraled again into the self-doubt like the same he had in the prison after confrontation with his ex-fiancée Mercedes.
She being Fernand's wife, the enemy to Dante.
So when Dantes took down Fernand, Mercedes couldn't take this malign to character to her and to her son Albert, and she decided to renounce her status and live a reclusive life. Even though Dantes wants to be with her by giving his fortune, she was no longer the Mercedes of her juvenile years that Dantes has loved. Mercedes had the notion Dantes was dead, and she kinda accepted it and lived accordingly, numb, cold and distant over the years. She couldn't believe him being alive, and the change of the character from being an innocent lover to a punisher. This really doubted his intuition and his guts, questioning his mission for punishing the evildoers. His self-doubt took him to a point where he wanted to take his own life rather than live with this thought. Eventually he dropped his thought to take up his life and went away to a voyage alongside a slave girl whom he finds a daughter figure in, who gave him a purpose to life. So, was Edmond's action justified? Well, while in jail, he had all sorts of negative thoughts. He even went to a point where he would take his own life. But with the wisdom of his mentor, Abbé Faria, he calmed down and discovered the reason behind his ill fate. He spent around 14 years in prison, which is able to break one's hope and will. A hope to punish his wrong does held him to continue his persuasion to break prison. Had he not been thought to seek revenge, he wouldn't have the courage to leave prison. His justification would be his adversaries gave him purpose to continue and carry on with life and think beyond bars. Had he done the same if he knew that his father died and his fiancée moved on? Well, his determination to escape prison at that time was stronger than the distractions he would have received. The news of his father's death would only fill his mind with rage against the tailor Caterhouse. Also, in prison there was no chance he would hear news about Mercedes. He got to know once he escaped and got to learn about her through Caterhouse that she waited for him for months, and in despair she married Fernand. Dantes also never doubted Mercedes's character. Caterhouse also told him that she was never happy after Dantes left, which only strengthened Dante's will. So unless the novel progresses, there was never any means to shake Dante's determination. Also, Haiti at the end made Dantes to drop his decision to take up his life after Mercedes refused to forgive him and mark him a murderer and revenge seeker. So Dante's action was justified as it had given a purpose to his life. But then the question is, does it really worth it? Couldn't he just move on and start a new life with the fortune he discovered? What would you think about it? Let me know in the